Welcome to Misery Zone. This is Kurt Burdick, creator of Death of Power. And this is Death of Power. See that right there. And I'm going to be looking at some Dracula comics done by some of my favorite artists that came out this year for the Halloween season. The first one I'm going to look at is going to be Dracula Book 1, The Impaler, by Matt Wagner and Kelley Jones. They're an amazing team of artists, and Jose Villarrubia did some beautiful coloring on this one. So let's take a look real quick and then see how these different artists and draftsmen handle the same subject matter, and also see what they chose to focus on as a narrative, because each of the books I'm going to look at today focus on a different aspect of the concept of Dracula. So with this book, it really feels like Dracula Year One or Dracula Begins, and it's really, really fun and, very beautiful in my opinion. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder, I guess. But really lush production value. They did a very good job. The story follows Vlad the Impaler on his quest to gain mystical powers so he can defeat the Turks who are invading Transylvania. And this book has a lot of the work and style that I loved Kelley Jones when he was drawing Dead Man and was it Red Rain, I think. Look at that. That's just fantastic. Little sad dog. Mean dog. But yeah, so it has a lot of those strong blacks that I love of Kelley Jones' great design work. And the color works. Really kind of has different themes. And I really, really love this scene right here. This is a real... So the book begins with Vlad Dracul preparing for a battle with the Turks, which he loses. He loses that fight and has an imposter groomed so he can escape, and that the Turks would think he died during battle. And he puts the amulet onto the corpse. As he escapes, he runs into some Turk guards, but they are able to placate them and move along because the Turk guards just thought they were peasants. And then when they're in the forest, they get surrounded by wolves. The wolves then run away, and it's because I think a Wurdulak, that's what they call it, some type of undead, Walking Dead creature was there that they then fight with, and they, I guess, light it on fire, which is a little mean, but I guess they don't like the Wurdulaks. So, technically technically didn't really do anything. This could be his hello, but it probably wasn't. Well, he did hit, but technically this guy is, brandishing a sword at him. So that was self-defense in my book. But anyways, he got caught on fire and ran away. And this is where his squire is like, I will die for you, Dracula. And Dracula's like, good. That's very good. And because pretty soon he might potentially die for Dracula. So Dracula goes to meet a witch to find out how he can go to the gates of hell, it seems, I think, to be able to become a member of the Sholomants. Sholomants, I think that's what it's called. It's like, I guess it's like the Harry Potter school for Satanists, where they study from Satan. And one thing I really did love about this book was it really is, like I said earlier, very similar conceptually to Batman Begins, or when they rebooted James Bond with Daniel Craig, where they're showing how Dracula gets his skills as a necromancer and villain. And I do love this color and this drawing. It just reminds me of the best of EC Comics and Warren Comics, like Creepy and books like that. And that is just very, very cool. All the negative images here, you know, with the really strong blacks, is I just can't get enough of. So the witch decides that for him to find out where he is to enter to join the Sholomants, that, or the Cholomansi, I don't know. He has to have sex with her. This is very much a Virgil Finlay design. This is just a great panel. This is a great page. And she transforms herself into a babe. And, which is cool. I mean, then she takes his seed. He comes out having pretty intense sex since he's like bleeding all over the place, and she gives him the info of where to join the Sholomants. So, and you know, so they go and they meet this horrific demon at the gates somewhere in Eastern Europe, which is completely believable that something like this exists in Eastern Europe. I mean, even today. So to enter the Sholomants, he has to commit a sacrifice. That's what this person is saying. This gentleman here, right here, goes, and none may pass further without a blood toll. Death and suffering, they are hell's cursed currency. Stand aside, unholy fiend. You will not touch so much as a hair on Voivod's head. I guess that's the name. That's like the term for the king of Transylvania, or wherever he's a king of. Fear not, me lord. I will defend you. Excellent. Blessed Christ. Mention not the name of God here, nomad. For beyond this point, you enter the devil's acreage. Cool. I love the contrast of this neon green and this bright red. It looks really good. And so the guy's, I will stab. Me lord, I don't. Please, peace, good Constantine. Truly, you are a most faithful and valued companion. And then he cuts his head off. That's So it really does establish that Dracula, just as a person, is awful. Behold, demon, I offer blood toll to secure my passage. And he's like, yum, 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 yum. So excellent, excellent work. And that is how it begins. And this is where it gets kind of interesting, is when Satan appears in front of Dracula. And the visage that he sees is that of a young child in this long, elegant blood robe. And yeah, it has a lot of really great stuff in it, and a lot of really great imagery and really great concepts. And everything in the story feels logical about how the structure of the students of hell trying to learn occult magic, how that works. So I really appreciated that attention to detail in the writing and also in the art. For these books, I'm just going to show you the beginning, because I think you should read these books and get them, if possible. Some of them are harder to get than others. I think this one's a harder one to get. But there is going to be a volume 2 that's going to be coming out. That is going to be The Brides. Also at the back, there is a lot of production art, which is really, really cool. And you get to see the rough drawings and then the final drawing. And this one is of that first drawing here. So this is the pencils, the inks, and the final version after it's been colored. So that's really cool. I just love stuff like that. Really did a good job with everything. Spoiler, but I think you might have already figured out that, he becomes a vampire. But it is interesting how he becomes a vampire, because that is, an interesting story and an interesting take on it. So in this story, Dracula himself is the main character, and the story is told from his point of view. So in a way, kind of almost has some Robert E. Howard vibes, some Conan vibes to it. Because except he's even more of a bastard than Conan. He's just a monster in this story, and he just cares about himself completely. Yeah, so a very interesting take on the character Dracula. The next book that I'm going to look at, or that I read this week, was a storybook portfolio by the amazing and great King of Kings, J.H. Williams III. And really incredibly beautiful book. And I really, really enjoyed it. So this one is interesting because let's judge these end sheets to the other ones. Very good end sheets. I think Matt Wagner's end sheets were a little bit better, but this is pretty classy. So it says a storybook portfolio. So in the beginning, J.H. Williams explains where this came from, and I guess he was sick with sepsis a couple years back, and that's why he started doing these illustrations of Dracula. And that's just it kind of makes this a deeper work with that kind of personal connection. At least I think so. And what's interesting about it is it's presented with a striking image and then a kind of summary, like a children's book would have, of a more complex story, kind of crystallized down to its essence. So when I was reading this, it kind of created a dreamlike quality to to experiencing the story of Dracula, because like in a dream where images come and go and concepts come and go, but there's like this makeshift linear fluidity through the different kind of psychic experiences you have when you're in a dream. That kind of has the same feeling with reading this book. So this is probably the most representative of the actual Dracula story structurally. This is just taking each of those sequences and sections of that book and crystallizing it down into one image, into one paragraph. So it's taking that children's book format and using it for a adult story, but very well done, very creepy, very strong image of Dracula there. And this is where Jonathan Harker cuts his chin. And it is interesting how he just breaks up this one image and really does create a sequential work with just by pacing the panels. It's interesting approach. I love this image. This is basically the part of the beginning of the novel where Harker sees Dracula, or some figure that looks like Dracula, scamper down the side of a wall. Really, really beautiful. Some of the J.H. Williams' artistic approach on this one reminds me of Kent Williams' Blood a Tale, the J.M. Diomedes and Kent Williams comic from the 80s, which is also really, really worth reading. So, very striking imagery, very beautiful production. The other thing I want to point out is the way he approaches the visualization of Dracula is very interesting and very mystical, and I really appreciate that. And he's never shown in the same way twice, which makes it feel more of like a ethereal menace. In the back of this book, which is cool, is the original ink wash, I believe, illustrations that J.H. Williams did. Then I guess these were later colorized, probably with Photoshop or something like that, like Clip Studio or Photoshop. So here are the same images that we just looked at. Love this image. There's good symbolism of that dragon coming in, and these kind of, magical, a feeling of magical symbology on the door. And, just the dragon there and then the flame that he's holding. I love the way this horse is drawn and how he uses the negative and white spaces. That the rendering of this castle is really, really interesting. Very beautiful. There's that one. Really excellent. I do wonder how large these were. It would be interesting to find out how large the artwork was, because it is very beautiful. So again, I'm just going to show the beginning. And, you know, again, it's also something I think that would be really nice to have on your shelf, because it's a very interesting book. It's something that hasn't been necessarily done before, at this scale, with this kind of approach, doing a storybook portfolio. And the production quality is excellent, and, you know, the artwork is beautiful. And it would be interesting to just go through it without reading the text and experiencing the story just from the visuals. And just experience that kind of ethereal imagery of horror, and see if your subconscious picks up on the greater narratives that J.H. Williams is choosing from the novel, which the novel being Dracula. Okay, so yeah, definitely highly recommend it. Very beautiful book, and a very interesting approach on a classic story. So here it is. Okay, next. Uh-oh, I'm dropping stuff. Things are falling over. Oh, dun dun dun. Okay, so this was by James Tynion IV and Martin Simmonds. This was Universal Monsters, Dracula. And, you know, this is part of Skybound, Robert Kirkman's company. And they've been doing some really fun Universal Monster comics. Now this one, again, let's look at these end sheets. I don't know about those end sheets. Oh, look at this. A lot of people like this one. A lot of reviews. So in this one, this is pulling from the Universal Pictures Dracula film from the 30s, and it's dealing with Renfield and the Dr. C-word. And what's interesting about this one, James Tynion decided to make the focus on, I think it's Jonathan or John C-word, the doctor, and have it kind of a conflict between the supernatural and science and reason, like the confliction between those two. And Martin Simmonds did an excellent job in coloring this. I mean doing, you know what I mean, painting, not coloring. It's painting. God damn it, Kurt, you keep messing up. So yeah, it's real interesting. Everything, all the events that happen in the movie happen off panel from this story. But so it's a very interesting approach, and it definitely adds to this, the overall fear of, I guess, or the overall horror of the situation from the original film. And fairly good lettering, digital lettering. Generally though, like when there's painted work, to have vector lettering, although this is pretty well done, there's still like a detachment. It just doesn't feel as connected because you have such naturalistic painting going on here. It looks like watercolor or gouache, that, you know, having a vector line always feels like a sticker on top of it, on top of the art. Beautiful. Got a really good creepy version of Bela Lugosi. And technically, Bela Lugosi is dead. He has been dead for many years. So that's a Bauhaus joke. Bauhaus, a band. Well, yeah. Okay. So anyways, I really also enjoyed how he draws Renfield. I think that's very, very creepy. So he did a very good job. And this artist's approach is much more expressive. He's also, you know, pulling from the Bill Sienkiewicz school, and the Dave McKean school of work, which is great because I love that illustrative style in comics. And yeah, I think it's, again, I was pretty impressed with the story, and I thought it handled the subject matter really well, and, you know, created a creepy vibe. Like, that's beautiful. This guy's rad. Renfield's cool. Renfield, you know, he was just trying to make the best of a bad situation, and he's loyal. He's a loyal worker. I think if he survived from the movie, you know, he would have had some good marks on his CV, you know, on his curriculum vitae. You'd be like, well, you know, I've definitely proven myself of being a loyal employee. Yeah. Master. There's also, yeah, I like, the palette is very much like a, what's his name? Ashley Wood palette. Very, you know, burnt siennas, you know, blacks or blues, yellow ochre, burnt sienna, burnt umbers in here. And it creates a really nice warm feeling. Kind of a lush feeling to the illustrations. Ooh, Dracula. Jesus. Again, I think the artist put in some actual linen cloth here. So he's using a little bit of mixed media. That's really cool. Looks really good. Yeah. So this is, you know, Van Helsing. So this is really pulling from the Universal film, but, you know, from a different angle, from a different perspective, you know, focusing on side characters in the film. And I think James Tynion picked the right character to use as the main character, using John Seward, or Dr. Seward, as or Joe, Joe maybe. God damn it, I don't know the name, but his name's Dr. Seward in this one, in the movie, and it's mainly dealing with him trying to figure out what's ailing Renfield, and it's looking at the deaths that are happening as if it was, you know, a result of a contagion, which it is, a vampiric contagion. This is Jonathan Harker. So yeah, in the Universal film, it's Renfield who goes to the Dracula's castle and becomes crazy. I believe, right? I think so. I think that's how it starts. It's been a while since I've seen it, but yeah, very good book too, and it concludes the entirety of you know, the Universal film. So I think it's a one and done, but they might do more. I don't know exactly what they're planning with this Universal line for Skybound. So this is the last Dracula book that I'm going to talk about, and I really enjoyed this one. And it's by the same artist as Innocent, which I really enjoy. And I think the world of this artist, Shinichi Sakamoto. He, again, he's just does some of the best facial expressions I've seen in a very long time. And this is interesting. It's definitely a strong horror manga, but it's also a young adult novel, at least in themes, or it's a young adult manga, and it almost feels like a mashup of Bram Stoker's Dracula and not Twilight, but Harry Potter, and and the other kids. The most boring Harry Potter novel that was never written, where Harry Potter just gets bullied during recess because he's such a suck up to the teachers, such a golden boy. But yeah, that was Harry Potter and the other kids. But yeah, so this is basically Harry Potter and Dracula. Harry Potter versus Dracula, except there's no real there's no one who's magical. They're just like boarding school brats. But yeah, so Shinichi Sakamoto turned all the characters into students at a elite boarding school in England, and he decided to start the story off with the Demeter and dealing with the logs of the Demeter. And I gotta say, this had a very strong beginning that was legitimately creepy. And again, I just love the way he draws expressions. His draftsmanship's really good. Now, the other thing that's really interesting with this artist is that he isn't traditional at all. He works digitally with his team. So sometimes I think with some of the stuff in the background, that becomes apparent. Like that, these ropes feel digitized to me, or like artificial. But his pacing and writing is just, amazing, bar none. And this is, details like this, that face. So one of the crew members got sick, and he gave him an exam, and he found this fungus. He decides to pull on the fungus. You read it this way, and it's connected to veins and blood, and the guy dies. And he eek, yick, and he throws it against the wall. Very good. Yeah, it's probably a good choice to do that. So it's going from flashbacks and flash forwards to tell the story also, which is real interesting. So this event happens where another one of the crewmen die. And then it does a flashback talking about the cargo that they were putting on board. And another real interesting thing that Shinichi Sakamoto does is that he does not use onomatopoeia, he does not use sound effects. He uses visualization to create the sensation of what something smells like or sounds like. And this is what he uses for this. So they have these crates from Transylvania. There's 11 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, nine of them. And they're worried that there might be some contraband because they just had supposedly soil in them. So they open it up, and to communicate what it smelt like to the reader, Shinichi Sakamoto draws a morgue from a famine or plague, and then he just shows the actual dirt, and then you see the reaction. I think that's just brilliant. Very, very brilliant way of approaching this topic. And, you know, people start puking, spitting up because of the smell. And when they're putting back the tops of the crate, one of these sailors cuts their finger on a nail, and the nail falls on the dirt within the cart. And immediately something sprouts, a plant sprouts from where the blood landed. It's just great imagery. Let me just bring that up. Cool. In fact, let me do this. Nothing too good for viewers of Misery Zone. I will at times zoom in so you can see, like, I'm such a good comic book host. I will zoom so you can see the work better. Yes, you are welcome. That punch feels so good. So this jumps forward again, and one of the crewmen is starting to act weird. He's getting like crazy eyes. He's infected with something, and he's acting violent about it. And supposedly he dies between the panels. And one of the other things I really like how he handles the presence of Dracula, like this black mist around the Demeter is how he's being represented as haunting this boat of cursed sailors. So they eventually decide to go down and check their cargo because there's a great stench coming out, and someone saw a shadow go towards the cargo hold. And this is what they see. They decide to open up those crates again. They see these indentations in dirt. And one of the crates has these two pods that grew out of it, and it busted open. It was already busted open. And they see a handprint in one of the pieces of dirt. Then the captain just starts telling them to arrange the carts. And what appears when they do that is the shape of a human body. And I just loved this scene. I thought it was like legitimately creepy and really, really well done. and then they hear some commotion. The two people that already died have risen and are coming in to attack them. And I'll just leave it there. So I thought that this was really, really fun. And there was also, kind of reinvention of each of the characters from the classic Bram Stoker's Dracula. And and the main character in this one is Wilhelmina Murray, I believe. There's a little list of the characters. Yeah, Wilhelmina Murray is the main character. And again, the way he does expressions is just fantastic. Let me see. Like, what a posh boy. He's going to be in one of those butler cafes in Japan. This is also another flashback. Oh no, this isn't a flashback. This is when they were investigating the Demeter. Like, two other sailors started to, survey the Demeter to see what exactly happened. And they see these two glowing eyes in the hole, and looks like it's a wolf. And then it's a wolf with a human arm that jumps up. Pretty cool. And very, very fun stuff. Very, very dark and very very interesting. So again, I highly recommend this book. So again, the 4 books, the Dracula books of this season, are I guess number, I don't even know how to, Dracula, I don't know, it's Midnight Children, DRCL, number DRCL, or hashtag DRCL, hashtag, I don't know. DRCL. I'm going to call it that. There's a Universal Monsters Dracula, J.H. Williams Dracula. And then book 1, The Impaler Dracula by Matt Wagner Kelley Jones. I recommend all 4 of these. I think they're just all fantastic. And it made my Halloween happy. And I hope you, my miserable friends, also have a happy Halloween.